Hello, it's Tony here again. We're going to look at something, well, not that different, but something we've covered before on the channel. That would be pop-ups, but something to help along with the pop-ups this time. A little utility that's been around for a little while. It's now on version 3.4. That kind of gives you an idea of how many variants we've been through. But now it's got to the point where I'm going to do a little tutorial on it because it's got so good, this little utility that I've been using for a little while, that it's probably okay for mainstream use now. I mean, it's really capable. It can do lots of things. And it's called MSFS Pop-Out Panel Manager, or Microsoft Flight Sim Pop-Out Panel Manager. It's a free application that a user has developed on the Microsoft forums to alleviate the issue with the popping out of panels. So many aircraft in Microsoft Flight Sim use glass cockpits, which is a shame. It's nice to have some steam gauges, but so many of them have got glass cockpits that they've got either G1000s, G3000s, or they've got GNS radios, or some of them have the add-on ones have got GTN radios now in them. And it just becomes a pain if you're swapping between aircraft, having to keep popping them out, or even if you just the way Microsoft and the Sobo do it in the sim for some strange reason is that every time you can't just select another aircraft from the normal window. You have to go back via the menu to do that, and every time you do that you lose your pop out. So even if you're in the same aircraft and you just go back and you want to select another flight, you want to fly somewhere else or start somewhere else, you have to go back to the main menu, and the moment you do that you lose your pop out. So every time you do that it becomes a pain having to re-pop them out every time. Hence I guess why this tool was developed, and it's, as I was saying at the very beginning, it's matured so much now that it's got lots of other nifty little features built into it, including the enablement of touch, because Microsoft Flight Sim currently does not support touch. So if you have a touch screen or even a tablet that's got touch on it and it's not working, this could be a solution as an interim until they finally get around to supporting touch natively in the sim, which is a sin really. It should be just there by default. Many of us have got touch screens, particularly Air Manager users, and to not be able to use them is, yeah, pretty basic stuff as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, enough of the griping about Microsoft Flight Sim or the lack of some of the features. We just have to be patient and wait for those to come along natively, and in the meantime we have to use applications like this that help us along the way. So what it basically does is it enables you to have a profile. You see here in the top box there's different profiles. I've got a few there that I've set up for some of the aircraft. I've still got a few more to do, so I've sort of jumped in and thought I'd do a tutorial now while I've still got some more to do before I get them all done. Otherwise I won't have a fresh one to do a tutorial on without clearing out my profile. So I thought now's a good time to probably do one. So you can probably tell I've jumped into the Cessna 172 G1000 just so we can do that, because I haven't set that one up yet. So as you saw, I've done it on probably 5 or 6 panels already so far, and so I've a pretty good handle on what it can and can't do in terms of the tool. So you select a profile. So the first thing we're going to do is click the little add profile button. You can obviously remove them with the delete profile button. I'm going to click profile and just type Cessna 172. I'll call it the G1000 variant because I will also want to pop out the GNS 530 and 430 in the non G1000 variant at some point. So you have to be a bit unique in your naming. So you can see it's been added there, 172 G1000. Now for the 172 G1000 there'll be a few different liveries. So what you can do is you can tell it to automatically pop out for some but not others if you want to. And for the G1000, the way this software works is it analyzes the content of the pixels that are where the pop out window are to establish where the pop out is and what it is. But for the G1000, for some reason, it needs to be powered, so it needs it to be powered up. So something showing not just a black screen, whereas all the other ones, they work without that. So you can see there's an option here where it says power on required to pop out panels on cold start brackets G1000 only. So that only applies for the G1000. Because we're popping out G1000 here, we need to tick that. So what that will do, and this is where the tool has iterated and got better over the last few months, it will automatically power the G1000 up, locate the pop out panels, pop them out, and then power down again, so you're cold and dark. So it kind of makes it all automatic. And it recognizes the aeroplane. You'll see once we get it set up. Hopefully it will all work, and we'll go out and come back in, and you'll see it just automatically do it for you, and you won't have to worry about doing the manual keyboard popping out and placing them and dragging them with a mouse. I know some other people use some other tools, fancy zones and whatnot, to do that for them already. And I guess if you're already happy with that, then that's okay. But this tool takes it to the next level in so much as it makes it fully automatic. You don't even have to do a thing, not even a keyboard shortcut or anything. It just does the lot for you. Including the enablement of touch, which is a nice little added extra feature, which I'll show a bit, or where you select and how that works there. Obviously this G1000 is not touch, so we won't be able to show it on this one, but I've got another one already set up just to show that if we want to have a look at that. But it's only a setting really in here, and then once you enable that setting, it will the touch will just work. It's just mouse emulation touch at the moment, but it's better than nothing at all, and it actually works quite well. So we tick the G1000 box on stage 2. So that's it's literally the 4 stages here on this main window, the 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 steps here. Really quick to run through them all. I know I'm rattling on about each one, but just giving a little basic explanation of each one. But actually to do it, to sit and just do it quickly, to set it up, is really quite quick. And obviously once it's set up, it's even quicker. So we've done the second step. We've ticked the G1000. Oh, and we're going to say associate ourselves with this Cessna Skyhawk. This is what I was talking about with the liveries. So what I do here is I press plus, and you see it turns green now. So whenever it sees the Cessna Skyhawk G1000 Asobo loaded, it will automatically apply this profile and try and pop out the panels. So that's where the automatic or part of the automation comes in terms of looking for this particular livery or this aircraft name. Step 3 then is to identify the panel. So this is probably the most time-consuming part. Let's just drag this up here out of the way for the moment, and you can see what it says here. Left click to add a new panel, then control plus left click when all the panels have been selected, and shift and left click to remove any that you've recently added if you make a mistake. Sometimes it's easier just to start over. So we're only going to really use these first 2. So we're just going to left click the mouse, so we locate them where they are on the screen. You can position. One of the things that I'll show you in the settings in a minute, in the preferences, is you can set up what your default view is. So for instance, say there was a panel over out of view on the monitor on the right hand side that you wanted to pop out, you would have to reframe your view so that you could see everything and then save that view. There's a way of telling the application that, where that view is saved, and it uses that view as its starting point so that it knows where the pop-outs are in relation to where the view starts, if that makes any sense. But because we can see both of the 2 screens that we want to pop out here, we don't have to worry about that for the moment. So I'm just going to left click the first location. Whoops, it's going to click off of that screen for the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to where it says show edit panel overlay, I'm going to tick that, and you'll see that the little numbers will appear on the screen. Right, so we'll start that with start panel selection. So we start panel selection, then we go 1, we click on the second one, and then if you remember it said control and click, so we control and click when we've finished. So we've only identified 2, and you can see now up in this box on the right hand side here it says panel 1 and panel 2. It's found them and it's worked out what the X and Y positions are. Well, these are just more for where you've clicked on the screen, just to say that's kind of the middle of the display, if you like. If I untick that now, you can see that those will disappear, so that just lets you know where you've clicked effectively. Just turn them on and off. And then what you can do then is start the pop-out process. So if you start the pop-out process, what I should do is I'll change view to my my multi-monitor view. We're going to drag that down onto the other monitor here, and we'll start the pop-out process. We can see we've got the 1 and the 2 showing there. What we can do is we now start the pop-out process, and it should comes up with a little pop-up there. Power the 2 screens on, and there you go. You can see the pop-ups happening automatically up in the corner there, and it's come up with a green tick saying panels have been successfully popped out, and then it's powered down again. So the G1000s are powered down again. So you can see there they're named panel 1 custom and panel 2 custom. 1 is obviously equates to number 1 here, so that's our PFD. We're going to put that on here somewhere, and this will be our MFD. That'll be over the other side. Let's just power that up quickly and make sure they are what we think they are. Yep, there you go. So there's the PFD, and so by definition the other one must be the MFD. So that's great. So now what we do, now we've got the 2 pop-outs, I mean we can leave them anywhere. I'll drag this back up to the other monitor there for the moment, and I'll start my Air Manager panels. So I've shown the 172 G1000 panels before, so you've probably seen those in another video. There we go, G1000 left, G1000 right. They are the 2 panels. So what it's probably better to do before I start those 2 panels, it's probably better just to drag your pop-outs out of the way, or leave them where they originally were. I was just kind of showing how they're going to go, really, down on the bottom monitors here, and then power up, and then you get these translucent areas you can see your desktop through. And then just do the normal manual process of dragging your pop out where you want it, position wise. Probably need these to be a little bit smaller. Minimize that for a minute. I'll best to make it a little bit smaller like that. This doesn't have to be deadly accurate at this point, because you can fine tune the pixels in a minute. Make them, because these, I've got these panels, so the G1000 tops are exactly the same. I know that the tops of the pop-out should be around about the same point as well. So I can fine tune, a bit like you can in Air Manager. You can drag stuff, but then you can fine tune the exact pixels for the instruments. It's very similar to what you can do here with the pop-outs. I'm just trying to get rid of the border there, so I can't see the, but not too much that I lose any information off of the screen. Turn that on just to make sure that that looks okay. Now see, that's not quite right. I'm not quite seeing that green little green mark there. Do you see that? I'm just going to drag that up a little bit, and then have another go. Now it's powered up. Roughly see where that's going to be. There you go. Now I can see that the Be a little bit temperamental sometimes, these pop outs. There you go. So that's how I want them positioned and how I'd like them to be every time. Now I've just got to tell our pop-up tool, which I think is minimised. There it is. So once it auto pops them out, it comes up with this screen. So you've done the first 4 steps, and this is now basically the finalising. Now, if you wanted either of these panels to be touched, like I was talking about earlier, say they were GTNs that were touch capable and you wanted them to be touched, you see there's a box up here where it says touch enabled. You just tick those boxes and that will enable the touch. But these are G1000s, they're not touch capable, so no need to do that on these ones. But for the touch ones, that's all you do is just tick the box and it just works. Simple as that. So here we have our 2 panels. You can see the widths are not exactly the same. I'm a little out with the heights in terms of where I dragged them, and you can see that the wire positions are like 1 pixel different. So I didn't do too bad there with the dragging. But you can just highlight these and edit these if you want to. So I can change that to 1152 to be exactly the same as the other one. And I'm just looking visually at the pop out now, just to make sure. You can see it looks like it's popped up a little bit, and now I've got a little bit of a line. Oh no, I don't know if that is if that's that or whether that's the graphic. But what we'll try and do is we'll try and make the height a little bit. You can see that one's 610. So what we'll try and do is maybe we'll make it 610, but I've got a feeling that's going to be a bit big. Make it 608. Yeah, 608 looks about right, and I think maybe we can even afford to go up a couple of pixels. Whoops, wrong one. Take that one in a minute. Yeah, okay, I won't faff too much, but you get the idea. You just need to yeah, I quite like that. That looks about right. So now you can see they're both the Y position for both is 1250, and they're both 610 height. The X is obviously going to be different because they're on different monitors, but they both look okay to me. So I'm quite happy with how they are there. You can select some of these other things as well if you want to get rid of them, but I tend not to bother with any of this. The only one I really bother with is touch enabled, but that will force it always on top. We don't really need that because we want it to sit underneath the Air Manager panel, so we don't really want to tick that. Hide the title bar. Well, you can hide it if you want, but really it serves no purpose because it's hiding behind the Air Manager panel anyway, so it doesn't really do a lot. And full screen mode, we don't really want it in full screen mode on a big monitor like this, so again, that's the reason I don't tuck that one. Once I'm happy with those and I've selected all the options I'm going to do, I lock the panels. So now the panels are locked in place and it's remembered what they are. And if you want to undock them, or unlock them should I say, and then tinker around with them again or select some of these settings, then you just click on that and it'll say are you sure you want to unlock all the panels? Say yes, then you're ready to go again, or you'll lock them again. So that's pretty much it. Now all you need to do just to test that is to go back up here to File and go Restart, and it'll go back to the very beginning screen again, except for this time it's remembered your profile, it's remembered that you've ticked that, and that you've ticked that you want to power up the G1000 because it's a G1000 that you're doing automatically, and it's remembered the 2 panel settings, and you can turn that on if you want. You can see where the 1 and the 2 are in the actual sim, and then you can just do the pop out process. So what I'll do is I'll just drag this off so it's out of view for the moment, and I'm just going to click that start pop out button and we'll see what happens. We click start pop out, you see it starts the process. They're already powered up at this point. You notice the way it repositioned the view, popped the 2 pop outs out, undocked them, and then positioned them where we had them, and then completed it by telling us with a green tick that it's all done. Don't you just love that? All done. Simple as that. Now you've set that up and you've proved that it's obviously all working, you can do the real acid test. And the real acid test is you power the panels off. For all intents and purposes, they're still there behind the Air Manager panels. But what I shall do, well, no, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back out of the sim, back to the main menu. So now we're in the main menu. I'm going to go back into the same aircraft and see what happens. We'll just change the view to make sure, bring the Air Manager panels up there. So we'll go into the aircraft. Oh, we'll just, anywhere will do. And this is what you should just do on a normal thing. Just load your flight, and hopefully it will recognise the aircraft because you've ticked the livery. Now, if you're obviously using different liveries, you will have to just add them with that where it turns it green when you do that plus in step 2. You will have to just do that a few times. You see it automatically clicks the ready to fly button there, so you don't even have to do that. I'm not actually touching or clicking anything with the keyboard or the mouse now. Powers up the panels. Should pop them out now. There they go. And then once they're popped out, position them. And a little green tick to say that we're done. And then power down. So there we are, cold and dark, and then when we do our own manual power up as part of our checklist, we power up our panels, and you can see we have our G1000 panels positioned exactly where we want them, as if they were there as part of the screens all along. So that automatic pop-out process is working very nicely, as you can see. No manual intervention required at all, even going as far as to click the ready to fly button for you automatically. So that's pretty much it, really. That's what it does, and it just takes away all that laborious process of having to drag and position the panels, or even to train another tool and have to use still a keyboard shortcut to push it or to place it where you want it, or to drag it over where you need it. This tool does basically everything for you now. Now you've done that initial setup that I've just shown. You haven't got to do anything anymore, and it will just running in the system tray as I have it, sitting in the background, just basically running as we are there automatically when we load the aircraft. So we'll just have a quick look now at the preferences. And let's bring the tool up. Get myself a bit of screen real estate here. Right, so in the preferences, you can see there's not a lot here, but you can choose how you want to start the application. I mentioned that I've got mine minimized to the system tray, so basically when it starts it just minimizes down to the system tray, so it's unobtrusive, it's not in the way, it just goes about its business in the background. As you load a new aircraft, if you've already set up a profile, it'll detect that profile like I've just shown, and it will just load your pop-ups, and you haven't got to worry about do anything. It just works. So that's basically just the application startup choices that you have there. You noticed I had them all ticked. Then on this next pop-out settings, this is where we set the view, so the auto panning for the view. So remember I mentioned a scenario where basically you may have more screens. Some aircraft have screens lower down that need popping out. They might not be in view, or they might be over on the right hand side, or they may be down a little bit like that. So you might have to set up a view that's got everything in view, and then when you're happy with it, you save that view to one of the custom view slots. I'm using 9. I use it the same on all the pop-ups, you only get to choose it once in here, so you have to choose the same view on all your pop-ups. If you're using custom views, or on one aircraft you have to use the same custom view number. On another aircraft you don't have a choice of choosing a different view for a different aircraft, but that's easy enough. I'd only tend to use a few custom views, so I'm only using the ones, the early ones, 0, 1, 2, etc. And I reserve number 9 for any custom manipulation of the view that I may need to pop out panels. So far I haven't really needed to do that. I think maybe one aircraft I might have had to do that, and I use Control Alt 9. So I save it to slot 9 on the custom views, and then it knows automatically whenever it starts a panel, it will apply Control Alt 9 to position the panel first before trying to do the auto pop-up. So it's always got it's framed nicely, so it knows it can see all of the pop-outs, because it needs to be able to do that to do the automatic pop-out process. You notice this next one here says include built-in panels, so you can actually auto pop out the ATC, VFR map, checklist, any window basically that the sim generates can be automatically popped out and sized and placed on a different monitor to your liking. So again, useful for that, even if you're not using it for the instrument pop-outs, or as well as the instrument pop-outs. I'm not using it for that because I tend not to use those things anyway, but if you were using if you're a big user of the ATC and you want the ATC window open in a certain spot on a certain monitor, always it will automatically open that every time for you when you load the aircraft, just like it does with the instrument pop-outs. You just tick that box and it will do those as well. I've not actually tried or tested those, but I assume the process is pretty much the same. Just remembers where you've put them. The auto pop out panel settings here, this is just literally just running through the process, because it's kind of automating a manual process in effectively, so it's effectively simulating mouse clicks and clicking on the pop out thing to undock them and then moving and position them, so it all takes a little bit of time. So these are just some delays in between each of the sort of like main processes that you can tinker with. These were a little higher at default numbers. I can't remember exactly what they were, but you see I've changed them all to 2. Oh no, there this tells you their default 6 seconds, 2 and 2. So these two are both still on default. This one was 6. I've managed to lower it to 2, and it doesn't seem to have any effect. So it just means you have to wait a little bit less time, rather than wait 6 seconds before it tries to click the ready to fly button. It's allowing the sim to load, etc., before it tries to do the process and says it's failed. You'll just have to experiment with these, but yeah, I've lowered these all to 2. Maybe I should push them a little bit lower and see how low I can go before it starts not working, just to make it that little bit quicker. But they're configurable. And then if you've got track IR, there's auto disable track IR. I've got that ticked. I think it's ticked by default. I don't have a track IR, but if you did have one, it would disable it, because obviously if you were moving around, you wouldn't want the view to be changing while it's trying to do the pop out. So it temporarily disables the track IR while it's doing the pop outs, and then it will re-enable it again once it's done. So yeah, again, a nice little bit of automation in there, just to take any manual intervention away, so you literally have to do nothing at this stage of the tool. I noticed the version number was a little different on the bottom there, minor bug. So there we go. That is the Microsoft Flight Sim pop-out panel manager. Shout out to Roast GNU, I think is the user on the Microsoft Flight Sim forums. Apologies if I've got that wrong, but thank you very much from me and from the community for this great tool that enables us to pop panels out within Microsoft Flight Sim. I hope you enjoyed this video. A little bit of a tutorial on how to use it, but it's fairly straightforward if you delve into the application. Just really trying to put some awareness out there for this great little application for anyone that's still manually popping out their panels, using them with Air Manager, or even not with Air Managers. Many people pop the panels out, just use them on different monitors. It's good for just placement and sizing of those things, and making it automatic and the same every single time you fly the aircraft. So great little application. Thanks for watching. See you again soon. Bye.